Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Thank you for tuning in. We have a very special guest with us today for a wonderful interview. We adore this man. He is absolutely fabulous, and we'll get into how we met and all that good stuff. So again, happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we have Scott Whatley with us. He is the founder and host of two different shows, Sportsman of Colorado and Haystack Help Show. Scott, thank you so much for being here with us.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I mean, this is a super pleasure for me, and it's been fun to watch you guys over the last many months to see your growth as well. But yeah, a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We were reminiscing this morning about how we met you. It was so by chance, but I think sometimes, I don't know, something intervenes in the world where it just happened in that moment. We were at a Guitar Center at the very beginning when we were first getting, I think, these microphones, actually.
Yeah, we didn't even have a station yet.
We didn't have a station. None of this was here. And it was happenstance. And you looked over and you said, "Are you guys in radio?" I'm like, yeah. Well, we will be here in about 20
I heard you say something
seconds.
about radio, and I was like, oh, wow. Well, let's see where they're going. Yeah.
So, well, thank you, truly. You've been a wonderful mentor over the past few months, and really since the beginning, we've leaned on you because you were definitely an expert and a charge in the radio field.
Well, I tell you, when I did not know anything about radio, and I don't profess to still know anything about it, but I was in the furniture business my whole life, pretty much, like 28 years, and in Dallas, and then I moved here in '93, and many of you may know Casey Fine Furniture.
Oh yeah,
and so Leslie, which unfortunately passed away several years back, but she recruited me out of Dallas, and I came here and I moved to Denver, and I did not know one person except Leslie and her husband, Sam. I mean, I did not know
a huge leap of faith
person. And so moved here January of '93, and I was in the furniture business with her. And then after a few years with her, then met Mr. Jake Jabs. And man, what a great guy. And Jake said, "Come work for me." So I went over and started working with Jake, and started out in sales. That's where everybody starts there, and then moved into management with him, and then became his corporate sales manager over all the stores. So did all the sales training for Jake, and just learned so much from him. Man, what a guy. I mean, he is unbelievable. Just a super nice guy, and of course has built some pretty nice stores. And just doing, matter of fact, I had him on my show about 6 or 8 months ago. I just spent the hour with him, just letting him talk and learn, even though I know him well, just to kind of see where he's at now at 93.
Oh my gosh, 93.
Wow, really?
Still working every day.
Oh my gosh.
Still in his office, and unbelievable, yeah.
Probably just one of those guys who's going to work until the very end.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah. At the very end, I asked him, I said, "Jake, look," I said, here's my Oprah question or Barbara Walters question. Look, you got all the money a person could ever dream of having. Let's just be honest. You could drive anything you want, live anything you want, wherever you want in the world. Every day of the week, you got, what makes you get up? What makes you still love what you do? And he said, "Scott, I love to work."
That's good.
That was it.
Yeah. So, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And truly, I hope, I'll be honest, at 93, I hope I'm sleeping a little more and maybe not working.
Me too. Absolutely.
Yeah, if I could, I'm like you. I'm like, I would travel a little bit, but you know what? Good for him. He must truly love what he does.
He does. And he's good at it. I mean, I think if we said, everybody raise your hand right now, if you ever bought something at American Furniture Warehouse, all the hands would go up.
Oh, for sure.
I think everybody in Colorado, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. What made you come out here from Dallas back in the day?
It was really through the opportunity, and to be honest, I'd gone through a divorce, and I was kind of thinking, man, I've been here my whole life, and I love Texas, don't get me wrong, but I was just like, and a furniture rep that sold us furniture, that sold Leslie furniture, on a wholesale level. He said, "Hey, do you know anybody who might want to go to Colorado? She's looking for a sales manager." And that was what I like to do. I don't like the numbers of doing things. I mean, I just like to talk. I like to sell, and so I said, "You know what? Why don't you have her call me?" So they did, and we arranged to go out. I remember the Cowboys were actually in the Super Bowl that weekend. And I said, well, you tell her I'll meet her Friday and Saturday, but Sunday I'm watching the game because the Cowboys are in the Super Bowl. But I came out here and met Leslie and her husband Sam, and boy, and I came to Colorado a lot to hunt, growing up and from Texas and everything. So I love the state. And I came here. They offered me the position, and I moved here 2 weeks later. Wow. In January of '93. And as I said earlier, did not know one person, but I love it here. I mean, it's changing, unfortunately, in some ways. I wish it wasn't, but
we can attest to that.
It is a beautiful state. A lot of great people here, and man, now of course great relationships and things. And my wife and I love it here now.
So what was the transition? What made you go from furniture into media? Because we were talking a little off air that you actually started over at CBS and did some TV before radio.
Right, yeah.
So how did that come to be?
When I left Jake, and my daughter was going to come live with me, and she was about 12 and a half years old. Now, I'd been here and single 13 years, and I was going to get a 12 and a half year old girl. So if you're a parent, you can imagine what that was. Now, I had to go buy dishes, okay? I mean, I was just a single guy. I mean, I did. And so, man, getting her in school and things. And this is kind of a unique story, but I didn't know what to do. Furniture was all I had done. But it requires evening hours and retail, the weekends and things. And, I mean, I'd never been off a holiday in my life because I always worked January 1st, Memorial Day, Labor Day for those big sales.
There's no holiday in sales.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And so a lady, a friend of mine that runs Park Meadows Mall, her name was Pam, and I bumped into her one time, and she said, Scott, here's what you ought to do. You ought to come sell shoes at Nordstrom's. And I said, what? I mean, it's like at the time, Jake was $300-400 million company, and here I was doing all this stuff and, making good and all. And I said, sell shoes? She said, here's why. And I'm like everybody else, where you think, oh, I've got to make so much to survive. It drives me crazy when I have buddies that say, oh, I said, found a job? No, they're only paying $40 an hour, but I can't afford to work for that. Well, isn't $40 an hour better than nothing an hour? And then keep looking. And that drives me crazy. But anyway, so she said, we get a lot of business guys that come in here. And she said, somebody will hire you. And I said, all right. So I went to Nordstrom. And I'm going to tell you, the first time a guy put his foot up on that little foot thing I sit on, and for me to take his shoe off, oh, I was just like, what have I done? But you know what? I decided I want to be the best shoe salesman Nordstrom has ever seen. I'm going to, anything they do, I'm going to go after it. So they want you to open up credit cards, for example, for shoppers, because they get people to get credit cards. So in a few short months, they had me training all the salespeople of how to get people to open a credit card while they were shopping there. And I ended up staying there a year and a half, probably, something like that. Well, then a couple of buddies, you may know, David Diaz-Infante and Mark Schlereth played for the Broncos. They were buddies of mine, and they didn't know, I'd left American, and they just came walking in. They're like, dude, what are you doing here? Sitting in a shoe store. I said, I'm working here. So I told them, I said, waiting for a guy to hire me. That's what the lady told me would happen. So they said, why don't you come over? They were on a station with Clear Channel at the time called 760 The Zone. And so doing a sports talk show. And they said, why don't you come over and sell advertising for us, And I said, man, I don't know the difference between AM and FM radio. Okay. I don't know anything about radio. And they said, yeah, but you can sell. I said, okay. So I went over there. And it was good, and I learned a little bit, just about radio, and but it wasn't anything where I could really make the money that I needed to. I met Tom Martino there when I was at American Furniture with Jake. People may call in to complain about something, and then I would try to help those people and just say, hey, look, Tom, we've already offered him a free sofa. What do you want me to do? I mean, Jake takes care of people good. So anyway, he knew who I was. I knew who he was, but we did not really know each other. And Tom just asked me if I wanted to come over and sell his referral list. And most of you have been around Colorado long, you know the name Tom Martino.
Oh, yeah.
And so I did really, really well at that, and for a number of years. And then at the end of '08, I guess it was, a buddy of mine, Chris Kane, which worked there with Tom and kind of invented the referral list for Tom. And him and Tom were actually business partners. Well, then Chris and I, we left and went to CBS and came up with the idea of TV and of doing some segments during, like, at the time, Oprah, Dr. Phil, Rachel Ray's show, where we would buy like 10, 30-second ads out of those shows and then have our guest on. You know, maybe it's a roofer, maybe it's a plumber, maybe it's a mortgage guy, whatever. And we did that for like 8-9 years. I mean, it worked really well. You know, it was just really tough as we've got an election coming now. The election rates are astronomical, so it was pretty tough for small businesses to be paying, you know, a couple of $1,000s for a segment and then go to $9,000 for that same segment during election time. So that hurt for a while. And so that we ended up leaving there. CBS decided they wanted to do their own kind of show, which now they do on Saturdays. And so I just got to thinking about radio, you know, and because I felt like it was a great way of connecting with people and helping small businesses to get who they are, get their message out. And they can't afford the $2,000 and $3,000, $4,000, $6,000, $7,000 TV spots. You know,
Oh, it's insane. Yeah.
Because man, you're sitting there the whole time you're on. Man, this phone better ring because I don't know how I'm going to pay for this spot. And so KLZ 560, we reach up to Casper, Wyoming, and down to Raton, New Mexico. So the AM signal's really huge, and Crawford Broadcasting, so it's a family-owned company, and I went to them, and I had no experience being behind a microphone, you know, and I just went there and I said, hey, look, how much would it cost, you know, for me to do something? And so I told them we had a consumer help show that we wanted to do, and all that. So then Chris and I, we jumped in with that, and at the time, Chris actually hosted the show, and I did all the selling. Well, then after a while, his kids were growing up, and he was a coach for a couple of his boys and doing things. So he just didn't have the time to dedicate to it, you know. So he just said, hey, why don't you do the radio, and we'll stay partners on our referral list and different things that we were doing together. And so then, you know, man, the first day I was so scared because I mean live radio for an hour. I probably killed every tree in Colorado because of printing out because I didn't want to run out of something to say.
Right.
You know? And so, but it was great getting to sit down with business owners that were just like me. I mean, you know, they're just, hey, I always tell people with our connections, they're not going to be the cheapest painter in the world that you hire. They're not going to be the most expensive, you know. They're going to be probably right there in the middle. But I felt that like it was important to really know who I was promoting, that they're a good company. I didn't want it to be because somebody was paying me to say it. So, because you can do a couple of options in radio. You can be an employee of the station, interview whoever they want you to interview, say they're great, and all that. But so it's a chance, but I decided to buy the time from the station. So I own both shows that we do. And but it gets scary too, because you sign a contract at the end of the year that you owe money, and now you got to go out and, you know, sell those spots, sell those interviews, and all of that. But I decided to do something a little different than most of the other guys that have referral lists in town. I thought, I don't need 20 roofers. Now, could I make money doing that? Yeah, selling all these roofers a spot on the referral list. Yeah, I could make more money. But I thought, man, all I need is one good guy.
Exactly.
One good lady. And I want it to be about the relationship with them and that I trust them. Because why have 20? And another thing I don't do, and everybody's different, is a lot of times you'll hear people say, oh, they endorse this company. Well, and they make a lot of money doing that, you know. And again, sometimes I kick myself because I'm leaving some money on the table, but I just don't do that, you know. I mean, if you're on my referral list, I endorse you, and that's it, you know. So that's been my deal. I've got the same mortgage guy I had since the very first day I got behind a microphone.
Nice.
Same insurance guy.
That's amazing.
Same attorneys, Kevin Flesh Law, and so just have made some tremendous from clients to truly like family, and there's probably some weeks and months the phone doesn't ring, but you know what? They know it's coming.
Right.
And I always tell them, I said, hey, with me, you'll get an outside salesperson. Because everywhere I go, I meet people, right? Just like with you guys. And I'm not shy. You guys weren't shy, So if I hear somebody saying, oh, my neck's where I got into a car wreck. Oh, you got into a car wreck? I don't mean to interrupt, but I got a guy that can help
lawyer,
you.
yeah.
So I don't know. But it's so fun just to have that connection with people. And then, but it's also a responsibility, because I think of the maybe single mom out there that wants to paint her house, and I don't want, and it's a lot of money, and I don't want it to be somebody that just quote paid me to advertise for them. I want it to be that, ma'am, if you're going to be out of town, you can leave your key under your mat. That guy will go paint your house inside and out, and when you get back, it'll be. That's the kind of trust I have tried to build, and I think we've accomplished that, pretty well through the years. But it's just. It's fun though. As you guys know, it's really fun. And then when you get out and do some outside activities, and you get to meet listeners, and it's fun. Oh, you don't look like anything I thought you would look like, that kind of thing, or whatever. I thought you were older. I thought you were whatever, or younger looking. So it's a lot of fun. But it's also very gratifying when they come up and say, "Man, I heard you talk about this show, and that I was just about to do this remodeling contract, and you guys were talking about everything that should be in a contract when you do a remodel. And I didn't have that in mind. I went back and told the guy to do this, and he didn't want to do that. So that probably saved me from getting ripped off.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
And then we try to help people too that may have already got into a situation, But I don't try to be intimidated. I'll call a business and say, look, Sarah called me, said she gave you this amount of money down. You haven't been back to her house in 3 weeks. What's the deal? Okay? And right now, Sarah knows about it, I know about it, and you know about it, and I'm fine with that. But what are we going to do here? And so, but I always found out, I have found out too, that customers aren't always right either. Sometimes they leave out some very important facts. And so I try to get both sides of the story, and then just go to a business owner and say, look, what do you think? Can we work this out? Because we all know, online reviews can bury you. And if somebody goes and puts something on, files a deal with the BBB, what is that worth? Not giving them their $200 back?
Right.
Right.
Just go on and learn from the experience for both of us.
Right.
So it's just been a lot of fun, just creating those relationships and having the trust with people, because again, I do take it serious when I take money from an advertiser that I really, really want to work and make it work for them,
Agreed. Well, thank you. For those of you just tuning in, we have Scott Whatley with us. He is an amazing radio host. He's a Sportsman of Colorado Radio and Haystack Help Show. We're going to take a quick music break here. Definitely stay with us. We have a lot more to come. We're going to delve more into your shows, of course.
Great.
And exclusivity. I think that's something important too, in community. We are definitely in line there. So thanks again to all of our listeners tuning in, and we'll be back after this music section for you.
Welcome back to K4CO Radio. We have a special guest in our studio right now. We got Scott Whatley right now, and he is founder and host of Sportsman of Colorado Radio Show and host of Haystack Help Radio on 560 AM KLZ. Thank you again, Scott, for coming in.
No,
really
thank you guys.
it. Yeah.
I could do this all day with you.
You kind of do.
Yeah, exactly. You're heading out right after this to do it even more. So
yeah.
Exactly.
You said a little earlier, one aspect of coming to Colorado is you were a big hunter. And so one of your shows, of course, is Sportsman, a Colorado radio show. Talk to us a little bit about that show and what got the idea of starting that.
I was just, after, living here since 93, and I was just like, why isn't there more on the radio? Now, there's a gentleman named Terry Wickstrom that has a Saturday show that's been around for many years, 25 years probably, and has done TV and all this. And so I went and talked to Terry too and told him, I was thinking about starting this, but wanted to make sure he understood, hey, I'm not trying to step on your toes, whatever. And we had a great relationship and still do, and he does a lot of fishing things, and where I'm like more the hunting side, we certainly talk about fishing as well. But so I just went to the station and once again said, hey, if I bought a show on Saturdays, how much would it cost? And then I went around to small kind of mom and pop stores, and just said, hey, I don't know what's going to happen with this. I said, but would you, give me $500 and, hey, I'll give you an ad on the show and I'll do an interview with you a couple of times a month and we'll talk about your business. And it kind of worked out, but it was really kind of funny. I think it was like November of 2012. I had my first show the first Saturday in January of 2013. But my wife, Victoria, and I, we were sitting in church, and I remember this, and we laugh about it every once in a while, but I pulled out a piece of paper and I wrote on a note, I'm going to start an outdoor radio show. And she looked at me, she what? And then we got in the car. She goes, what are you talking about? And I go, I don't know, but I'm going to start it and see what happens.
I love it.
And that was divine. November.
Yeah, nice.
And then January we started. And now here we are.
So that was pretty quick, just 2 months.
Yeah. I already had the relationship, needless to say, with KLZ,
right.
So I just went to them and said, hey, I'd love to do this. And so, but again, going back to helping the small businesses, I didn't need Cabela's or Bass Pro. Let's be honest, they didn't need me. Okay,
Right.
All right, but I wanted to help the small business people. And just a love for the outdoors, like I say, a beautiful state. I fully realize not everybody's into hunting or fishing and the outdoors, but and we certainly respect that from folks, but a lot of people are, and,
especially here.
Yeah, and so we just try to help small businesses that may be in that field. And I've got some other people. I mean, Lakewood Plumbing and Heating is one of the sponsors, and we talk with them once in a while. Not everything goes good. Even if you're a hunter, you need a plumber, right? So we try to just bring all of our sponsors in, even with that, But we just try to keep people educated of what's going on in Colorado, maybe with even gun laws, different things like that. And of course, we're fighting this mountain lion ban right now. It's Initiative 91 that a group has got together and trying to ban mountain lion hunting and bobcat hunting. And again, it comes to a lot of the education that people don't know, that I think it may be thought where people think, oh, well, and I've asked people, what do you think happens when we go out and hunt? Well, you just see something, you shoot it. Well, that's really not true, and especially with mountain lions. So I said, I was talking, matter of fact, we were in Florence, Colorado a couple of weekends ago with the Colorado Outdoorsman Days, and just trying to get people on this because it's going to be on the ballot in November. And so just trying to educate them. And so I asked this lady, I said, did you know that as hunters, we have to take a class to hunt a mountain lion, to be able to tell the difference between a male and a female and all the different things, I mean, there's a class you got to take, a course, I should say. And she goes, no. I said, did you know there's a quota? So Colorado, and not to get too involved in this, but I would like to take a minute here. Yeah. Colorado's divided into what they call GMUs, Game Management Units. So if you take like Sedalia area, let's just take that, that's Unit 51, okay? So you may apply for a mountain lion tag. They may sell, 200 licenses for mountain lions in that unit, but they only want to take 5 because they want to manage them. Mm-hmm. We don't want to go shoot every mountain lion you see.
Of course.
Okay. Yeah. So they want to manage that. So you got a tag, you've got to call in every morning to see, because if you went and shot one, you've got to check that mountain lion in. So if there were 5 tags, you've got to check that mountain lion in. Now there's 4 tags.
Gotcha.
Then the next day I shoot one, I've got to check it in. Now there's 3 tags. So there could be, 295 guys with tags, or got ladies with tags that don't get to hunt a mountain lion because they're already taken.
Right.
So again, that's the way that it's kind of run. But if you look at spring bear, was taken away. Well, look at all the problems we have with bears coming into cities and all the different things. Okay?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be fighting that. We don't have the right prop, non-prop, number or ballot number yet to tell everybody, hey, really look into this, and we hope everybody will vote no on that, because if they come after that and are successful, this in Colorado is their testing ground for this. They'll take this to other states, and it'll come to other species, because then they'll say, well, we think hunting elk are trophies too, so you shouldn't hunt elk or you shouldn't hunt deer. And then, you can't hunt anymore, so you don't need a gun.
Oh, my gosh.
And so, it'll just keep going. So, we just try to keep everybody, and again, we certainly respect everybody that's not into hunting, okay? But I tell you, I don't know if you guys like elk. I can bring you some elk, and it is
Please
the
do.
best
It's
tasting.
so wonderful.
It
And
is so lean and good for you.
It's wonderful.
And it is awesome. But to bring it back just to the show, and then we work with the International Sportsman's Expo when they come to town. We actually started a new expo this last April that is at the Gaylord, and it's called the Mile High Hunt and Fish Expo, and it was super successful, and that'll be back next April again at the Gaylord Hotel, which is a little bit more fun than going downtown.
Nice.
And so be looking for that. But we hope everybody joins us. We're on Saturdays 1 to 2, and then we're replayed on Sunday mornings at 8 and Sunday nights at 8, where people can catch it. But it's a great show, and we have a lot of outfitters on. Because let's say you want to go to the Western Slope, or you want to go somewhere on an elk hunt. How do you go about that? Sometimes you want to get into archery hunting. You don't know what to do. So that's what we try to do, is help people. And then another side section of that is just to keep kids in the outdoors, when I grew up, I shot my first deer when I was 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And so in Texas, I think you're kind of born.
You're born with the gun in your hands.
And so, but man, just to get kids off their phones and get them out and get them in the outdoors, because I'm telling you, you want a lifetime memory. And my dad passed away a couple of years ago at 88, but all the memories that he and I were able to build together, and gave me the love and respect for animals and the outdoors. And I think a lot of times people think, hunters or sportsmen, outdoorsmen, whatever you want to label us, that we hate animals or something. Well, I guarantee you, if I'm driving down the road and a deer jumped a fence and a leg's caught in the fence, I'm going to help that animal. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And so it's not that, but it's such an enjoyment of just being out, man, and it's just you against them, and especially with archery, because, boy, that's super challenging, And sometimes you don't go, hey, you're not successful, but you still had that experience. But it's a lot of fun, and boy, to see a kid catch a first fish and, things like that again, or take their first animal is just really awesome. And real quick, we're working with a group right now called Of Mountains and Men, and they take 12 to 17-year-old boys that traditionally don't have a father in the home. They will take kids out, boys out that, do have a father. Maybe the father just didn't into that, whatever. But we've been working with them the last few months, and just got to interview one of those boys about what that meant for him to get out. And some of the dads are in prison. And man, it just gave them so much to look for. And now they never dreamed they would want to hunt or fish, and now they love it, So again, I just wish we could all come to, in just our country as a whole, there's just so much hatred out there, very few times can you get into a conversation with I'll just label it as an anti-hunter, because you can't just have a conversation like we're having about it. Again, if you don't hunt, I'm fine with that.
Right.
But man, we'll get posts. I hope your kids die. I hope you get run over for shooting that animal. All of that, So, but it's a good show, and we love it, and just to kind of let everybody know what's available in Colorado to hunt and fish. Like I say, beautiful state, and but do stay on top of that. It's not going to be Initiative 91, like I said, when it comes back, because it will have a prop number or ballot number that we'll have to educate people on. When that'll start probably after Labor Day, we'll have that. But do please think about saying no to that, because they're just trying to control. If you guys rode bikes and I said to you, hey, what do you like to do? Well, I like to ride a bike. Well, you know what? I am so tired of having these lanes on the highway and you guys crossing over in front of me. So I'm getting a group together and we're going to try
We're
to
gonna stop it.
outlaw. We're going to outlaw bike riding. Well, I mean,
I'm sure
it's the same
it
way.
wouldn't surprise me.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
groups do
yeah.
whatever they want to do.
Well, so it's kind of the same thing. I mean, hey,
Right.
this is what we enjoy to do. We bring a ton of money to Colorado. All these small towns, Meeker, Rifle, Grand Junction, whatever. I could go all over naming town. Man, that's their time to make money. These little small towns, when hunters come there, buy things, stay in the hotels, whatever the case may be, buy food in the grocery stores. So.
And like you said, what's available, I think a lot of people just kind of think, oh, you just go out and shoot anything that you see and just kind of wipe out whatever you can, when it's not like that.
No, not at
Of
all.
course, and I am not a hunter. I wish that I was, and I will maybe one day work up to that. I do have my concealed carry, but
Well,
I don't
very good.
carry. But I need to have a little more practice.
Right.
Is where that's equating to.
And we all do, and that's something we encourage. Because I'll be honest, I don't shoot as much my handgun as I need to, And I mean, yeah, you got your permit, but are you really comfortable with it?
Exactly.
Right.
And we educate with our attorney again, Kevin Flesh. What to do if you ever feel like, because if you ever do pull your gun in something, a situation, you got to understand your life's going to change,
Right.
whether you're
Dramatically.
100% wrong or 100% right.
Exactly. I hear that over and over. I
But-
mean, I've purchased a few, and they say exactly the same thing.
So
you
you-
have to be ready for the consequences.
Sure,
of it.
sure. And, you just got to figure out, hey, do I need to be a good witness here to see
Right.
what's going on? Or is
Be
somebody
smart
really
about
getting
it.
physically hurt? Or I feel like they're coming to hurt me. I mean, I don't know if you've been to some of these under some of these bridges and these guys come running out to clean your windshield,
Right.
And I had a guy the day would not leave me alone, And you don't want to, show a gun to show him you've got a gun, because that's a menacing thing. Okay. But I just go, dude, look. You need to get away from my car. And I said, I don't know if you can understand what I'm saying, but you need to get away, So
Right.
I think you got to, I mean, we're in a crazy world, man.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
And you never know. But I think you got to be prepared, So
For sure.
getting your concealed carry, I think, but then carrying it.
For sure.
And getting good with it,
For sure. Well, I love that what you've really emphasized today is not only education, which I agree with you on all fronts, down to the littles. My kiddo just started kindergarten, and he's never held an iPad because he is
Wow.
outside doing things. And so yesterday was the first day of school, and he has 15 other kids in his class. And we were standing there. He goes, I get to look at an iPad? And all the teachers said, he's the only child in our class that hasn't held an iPad. I'm like,
That's
you know
awesome.
what? I was very strict, if you want to call it
Sure.
that. But it's like, go out and be in nature and,
Well, I
stimulate
don't know about
your
you
brain.
guys.
And
You used to walk out in your neighborhood, kids be out.
bike
throwing- I
riding
mean,
and doing stuff
playing ball.
outside. Yeah, exactly.
You can drive down a street any day you want you'll never see kids hardly. I mean, I'm just saying,
Exactly.
it's 1% of the time out throwing a football, out
Exactly.
playing catch.
Yeah.
They just don't do it.
My
I
parents
know it.
didn't want me home. They said, come
Yeah.
back when the street lights are on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Get out. And we loved it.
exactly.
Got to, do whatever we want, ride our bikes all around and play by the river and creek, and, just, it was fun.
Yep.
Yep.
And we totally agree with you on community. That to us is the forefront of exactly what we stand for. When we started back in September, when our apps launched, it was, we need to make this accessible to small businesses and our community.
Sure.
And we're like you. When we met with you, and thank you again, truly, like that stands for what type of person you are. To say, hey, I heard maybe you guys are in radio. Like, let me come talk to you. Like, you actually stand by what you say and very community oriented. And it was to bring in exclusivity, which we have done as well, and to really get to know who we are partnered with. We're in communication with them all the time, and it's people that we trust.
Right.
I would say I would let them into my home any day of the week.
Sure.
So I can really refer them out to other people.
Right.
So I appreciate you talking about that.
Yeah, and we're not all going to agree on everything.
Of course.
But you know what? Man, just to help people is a good feeling. And, sometimes it doesn't feel reciprocated, but, that's not why you do it,
Right.
But I think you'll find out that, there are a lot of good people out there. There's a
There.
lot of good businesses. And sometimes a guy just may get behind, or a lady may get behind in some things. Hey, the kid needs braces. You just gave him $5,000 to down for a kitchen. They had spent $2,500 of that for the braces of the kid. Now they need another draw on their money. Different scenarios happen. Sometimes things just happen.
Right.
But, I think as the situations we're in now, man, you just got to be careful. Check things out. Verify. And so we'd be happy to help people. I always tell people you don't have to use people on our referral list at haystackhelpradio.com or whatever, but those are people we know and trust. And so at least give them a shot to earn your business and challenge your listeners to do the same for you, the people that you guys have associated with, because you wouldn't have associated with them if you didn't do what you just said, believe in and trust them. So, we got to support everybody here locally. That's number one.
Exactly.
All these online things are great, and we all want to save as much money, but man, we've got to support our local businesses here.
I agree. I don't think people truly that don't, and I'll out myself too. I use Amazon.
Well, sure.
There are, and I sometimes go to the bigger stores, so I am guilty of what I'm about to say. But the consequences of not supporting local is going to absolutely devastate our country
absolutely.
In so many ways that I don't think people can have the foresight to say what's going to happen in 5 years or 15 years and 20 years if you don't support your local community. We have had the opportunity to meet with mayors and governors and to see how these little pockets make a huge difference in the big scheme of things. So, but like you said, it's community knowing your situation, knowing your surroundings, and lift each other up. That was my dad's favorite phrase, is he would always say, if we do a little bit of lifting, the world would be a better place. And it really is, if you just go hold the door open for someone, because you have no idea what that person is going through in that moment.
You're so right.
So a little, like I read these stories, we try really hard every day to do just positive news. So in my show, I play.
Is that a 10-minute segment?
I actually do the full hour. I do full 3 hours. 3 hours of it with only Colorado musicians that are in our rotation.
That's awesome.
And only wonderful news. So it is about doing things really good in their own communities. It's saving a dog or reaching out to someone who needed help. It's that kid on the bus that goes, that kid looks a little sad. I did it this morning when I dropped off my kiddo's second day, and a little boy was sitting there, and you could tell he was having a rough moment. And I just said, Ethan, why don't you go say hi? Why don't you go show him the car that you're playing with? Because that could make a huge difference in that boy's day and the rest of his school year. So it really is trying to make the positive, which I definitely try and make the positive spin.
It's difficult too to really find good news.
It is. I go to Good News Network every day and I find my 4 or 5 stories that make me smile, because I think if you're hearing the positive and that we are striving for community and lifting each other up, then someone could say, you know what, I don't have to be such a schmuck today.
No, because like you say, everybody's under stress, unbelievable. I do a couple of shows with some doctors in Dallas, and every week we just did a whole show on stress. He's a family doctor, and he just talked about the effect of just the weight of all we went through with COVID and all the different things. And even kids, I mean, from 10 years old and up, they're seeing a lot of things with stress, and of course teen suicide and all the different things. So as you said, costs nothing to be kind.
Right.
Hey, you may hate hunters, you may hate whatever, but and I'll still be your friend. And so just being nice to people and just being honest with them, and I think it works out really, really good. You don't have to look back at different things. Oh, what did I tell them? Different things before. So that's what we try to strive in our businesses. And if there's a mistake made, hey, let's fix it. Everybody will go on. I mean, sometimes that happens where somebody will say, oh, I'll be honest, I can't even think of the last time it happened, but it has happened. So I'll just use it as an example. But they'll say oh, we hired one of your companies and they didn't do this. Well, did you call the owner? No. Well, you know what? You need to do, and I tell people that before you complain and write a bad review for somebody, call the owner of the company and give them a chance. Jake Jabs taught me that. Everybody deserves a chance to make something right. Okay, everybody. Your fault, my fault, nobody's fault. That's a John Wayne line in a movie. Oh, I can't think of the movie, but he goes, your fault, my fault, nobody's fault. He was going to shoot the guy, but anyway.
Right, he said it right before he blew someone away. I like it.
But do give everybody a chance to make something right. Sometimes, man, the biggest things that come up are just over a little misunderstanding.
Right.
A little bit. Or I heard somebody say, oh, they said something bad about you. You know what? Go to that person and go, hey, I'm just being honest. Somebody said you had this understanding or said this. I want to make sure we're good. Do you know how many relationships could be better and just things to assume that somebody has done something or said something about them?
Honest, direct communication is so lovely.
And that last one, communication is huge. I mean,
is.
in everything. If everybody would just get together and just, like say, communicate. Hey, good thing with the hunting again. But I just say, hey, look, let us just tell you, what we are and why we love to do this, and let my kids tell you what that meant to them to be out in a tent with their dad for a week. I mean,
Right.
I mean, it's just so fun. So it is all in the communication, the way you do it, so. It's a blast, and we're under a lot of stressful things certainly here in our country at this time, and a lot of unknowns out there. But we can't control a lot of things,
Right.
but there are a lot of things you can control. Your attitude, just being, like I say, helpful with people and being nice to people. And I drove over here, 2 people, man, they were honking at each other. And I was just like, dude, it is 9:15 and you're already mad.
Oh, it's 6 in the morning. I know. I agree.
Well,
just I give them a lot of space.
Yeah.
Just say, you all figure this out in your moment. But boy, I totally agree. It's what I tell my 5-year-old son. You can control how you're going to show up today and your attitude. You can decide when the whole world is not being nice to you in the moment.
Right.
You still have the choice to do the right thing and to be kind.
Sure.
And it is so powerful. If we had that shift of attitude of controlling who we are and how we present ourselves to other people, I have many moments that I don't. And where I have the short fuse, and then I reflect back on that and think, boy, did they really deserve to be yelled at? Most of the times they did. But 98% of the time, I think I'm pretty good. It's the 2% that, I blow my fuse, but it is working together.
Sure. But bringing radio back to kind of what we're doing today, I think, is it really gives you a chance to get in people's hearts a little bit. And I mean, I think when people have met you and they've listened to you, I mean, they feel like they're your friend when they walk up and met you. They go, man, it's so nice to meet you. I've listened to you guys, and so I think, businesses out there, certainly this is something you ought to look at, hey, and you may think, well, this is weird. You're on KLZ 560 and they're on their station and they're trying to get advertisers. You're trying to get advertisers. True. But you know what? I'm just saying radio as a whole works very, very well. And especially people that listen. I mean, you guys do music some too. And I mean, who doesn't? That gets your mind off what all's going on in the world today. So that's great. But then when people are listening to the talk portions that you guys do and the interviews you do, they're paying attention, and they're listening to what you're saying. And so I don't know what else you could do out there. And radio is quite a bit cheaper than, I started to say newspaper ads, but I don't know who reads a newspaper. But,
what is it?
TV and all the different things like that, But it is something that people do feel a loyalty after a while and a trust. If you build that trust with your listening audience, which you guys have done super well. And so I would definitely challenge businesses out there, hey, if you're looking for a way to get your business name out there, and we'll preface it with this, you're a good business, you're trying to do the right thing, you're trying to take care of people right, hey, get in touch with you guys, myself, whatever, and we would certainly try to just help everybody we can.
I agree.
And that's one thing we got to thank you for, because I remember visiting you before this whole radio station even started,
right,
and just being very upfront and honest, and just really, because our biggest thing was bringing back the community aspect of radio, because sadly I think a lot of that is lost, and I think a lot of regular radio is for what I call the elite, because it's so expensive and it's just ads.
I know.
And not really getting to know them, not really taking the time to develop that relationship. And so a lot of our model as a station, we kind of built around just your idea of your show and what you do. So thank you very much for that.
Well, I mean, I'm certainly honored you'd say that, but it's something to be able to get into people and help them, you know, maybe not make a mistake with a bad business. And it's like I say, I just love the loyalty that it brings, one, to the clients that we represent, and then two, to the folks out there that listen and maybe hire someone that we recommended, and then they have a wonderful experience, and then they go tell somebody else about that wonderful experience, and then that's how this continues to grow. You know?
I agree. For me, that honestly has been so pivotal in how I feel about radio. We were brand new, and thank you for also being new. We've had other people that we've reached out to, and they would say, none of you have been in media. I said, nope, we are all learning this fresh.
I mean, honest to goodness,
yeah.
I knew nothing. And still don't a lot, but
I know we don't. Yeah, we are
but
learning
the
every
people
moment.
aspect is something that's super easy when you get.
That's true.
You know, good people that are trying to do the right thing. And it doesn't mean they're perfect. Doesn't mean there's not going to be a guy show up when they're supposed to show up at 10 o'clock and there's a contractor and he's late, whatever. Things happen.
Of course, yeah.
But when you've got their basic core and their mission is to do the right thing,
I agree.
Man, it's so much fun.
It has been. And, you know, we play music as well as talk, and we have about 100 musicians, Colorado musicians in our rotation. And to me, we had Billy Bauer. We try and have musicians in here, and they perform acoustically, which is really amazing to have that in our studio. And Billy Bauer specifically stands out in my mind, where he gave me a hug and he said, I feel like family here. And that really moved me. And to have other musicians telling other musicians about us, to say, these guys really do care about the community. And yesterday, I told Josh, this gal sent me a PM message on Facebook. I'd mentioned honey that helps 84% of cancer cells for breast cancer patients. And she went and ordered it and sent me a screenshot. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that, to me, that's incredible to reach people and say, maybe I actually have an effect, a positive effect in this person's life. So there are huge rewards in doing this and reaching the community.
Yeah. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my wife real quick, because she helps me so much. Okay, her name's Victoria. 18 years we've been married, and got a little golden named Gracie. Little golden retriever named Gracie's our family. But yeah, she helps me so much with my websites and putting on my podcast. As you guys know, I mean, I can tell Josh is very technical. I don't know how to do anything he's doing over there. I know how to talk in a microphone. That's about it. But she helps me with all my podcast and all my different things. And so, you know, it's been a great thing with her helping me, because I couldn't do what I do if I didn't have her, you know. And especially when you've never done something before and you go to them and say, hey, this is what I'm going to go do and start. And they're like, what? You know? And I've got to, by the way, I've got to sign a contract that I owe this amount of money. And then I got to go figure that out, you know. But it brings, you know, I think radio as a whole, and we talked about this before we came on air, but there's so many things people can listen to. So I know you would say this to your audience. Hey, we appreciate you listening. If you're hearing this right now, we sincerely appreciate you listening to this. Yes. And you are helping a small station that is, again, trying to do the right thing, trying to bring you good things in the community and help people and help small businesses just like I do. And that's a wonderful thing. You know, like you say, the big corporate things, I hate to see a lot of times, because I'll listen to some different things sometimes just to kind of see what other stations are talking about, and there'll be, you know, an 8-minute block of ads, you know, at the top of the hour, and there'll be like 3 plumbing ads from 3 different companies in that deal.
Exactly.
And I just, like you say, none of us want to be that. You know, we want to help somebody and just be, you know, a partner. And not everything's about money, you know. I mean, sure, I got to pay my bills. You got to pay for your bills, but I try to do a lot of things in the community, too, to help people. If I hear something, I'll say, look, why don't you come on? It won't cost you a penny,
Right.
and let's get your word out about this thing that you're doing, or
Right.
event you're going to hold. And that's just part I think we all got to get back,
For sure.
to a little bit too, and just try to make this world a better place, man. It's crazy right now, for sure.
And it's
So
just going to
true.
get crazier.
Yeah,
So.
and so,
never know.
but radio's fun, and
It
so
is.
folks, of course, want you to listen to K4CO, but hey, if you get a chance, you can give us a listen on KLZ 560, and again, we're on noon to 1 with Haystack Help Radio, and then Saturdays 1 to 2 with Sportsman, and any way we could ever help, let us know. Make sure you mention you heard this interview, and I'll know, and then I can get back with Sarah and Josh and let them know. But any way we can be of help, we'd love to. So
Tell them
We
K4CO
agree.
sent you.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Do you have any events coming up that you wanted to mention?
I'm going to Montana next week on a pronghorn hunt. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
man. Can you take me?
I know. I know.
No, right now we are getting into that hunting season and so things, but then usually in January is when all the show seasons and expos and different things start, So again, I know the International Sportsman's Expo will be back in January downtown Denver, and then Expo we're heavily involved in. The Mile High Hunt and Fish Expo will be next April at the Gaylord. So
Okay.
that you guys will have to come out to
That's
that.
it. We would love
We would
to.
love
We
to.
were just at the
Really
Gaylord
neat.
about a month ago, and what a
Okay.
cool spot.
Yeah, no, it is really beautiful.
Their
And
swimming
they
pools
finished
are
their
fabulous.
renovations now. I don't know, when we were there, the whole middle section was blocked off down to the
Okay.
edge.
I think
So-
they're
so
they're
they've
done.
opened
I was
it
there a
up.
month
Yeah.
ago. Their
And-
pools are fabulous.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So, but yeah, guys, it's a ton of fun, and again, if we can ever help you, we're happy to. And
Same
it's been a
from us.
super privilege, to be on with you guys, and it's great to see your success. We follow each other on social media, so I appreciate the likes, and I try to do the same for you. Isn't that funny? Like you.
It's, yeah, it's that whole new world that
Man,
it's just
It's a
like
lot
you
of
said. I don't
social
know what I'm
media.
doing. I did not know social media type stuff, and kind of have to today.
Oh, no,
you
yeah,
know.
because I tell people all the time, they go, why do you do? I said, look, I don't like doing it. 'Cause
Right.
you feel like you're trying to build yourself up all the time. But hey, we have to, or nobody else is going to build us. Let
Exactly.
people
You
know
have
about
to
our shows. So
self-promote.
yeah, we have to do that.
And whether we like it or not, people are attached to it.
Absolutely.
That's
Oh.
where, sadly, they get all their news from. But
Mhm. I know.
But yeah, they are just really attached to that social media. So it's kind of like you definitely have to in this
Sure,
world. Yeah.
Right. Are we out of time?
we
I'm just gonna ask you,
unfortunately are.
60 seconds to each of you. I'll switch
of
roles
course,
with
of
you.
course.
Oh, my
So,
gosh.
Sarah, since you guys started here, what's kind of been your biggest enjoyment out of this? I mean, from just 60 seconds of
100% the interviews.
yeah.
I really enjoy the events, but we are still doing interviews. We have Sabino, our videographer, who is here, of course, filming with us. So it's still doing interviews at events, but I really like the interview portion because you get to know the passion, what inspires people.
Right.
That to me is the driving force. And that aspect, I think I've loved the most of it.
Yeah. Josh?
For me, it's definitely partly the interviews, especially on the music side, Colorado musicians, because I'm
Yeah.
a musician myself, so I really love delving into that. But outside of that, when it comes to the nonprofits that we work with, we were just at Wash Park with the Donor Dash, and we were interviewing people who have received a donor organ or anything like that, save their life, and it was just so touching
Wow.
and so amazing. So I think that's one of my favorites outside of the Colorado musician interviews is just these wonderful organizations that are really doing a lot of great work that you don't hear a lot about.
Yeah.
So
for
it's
sure.
just great.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to you guys.
You
guys
as
are
well.
On a roll and building something good here. So
You
everybody
too.
stay tuned for more.
Oh, I
Yeah.
like it. It's
K
like you
Force.
know. I love it.
Absolutely great. Well, thank you again, Scott. And yeah, we'll be in touch, of course. And thank you
Okay.
for everything that you've done with us.
Well,
help us out.
absolutely.
Agreed.
And,
Yeah.
I hope you feel our doors always open, and I feel certainly
you.
welcome here. So thank you guys.
Oh, yeah. We've been talking with Scott Whatley, founder and host, Sportsman in Colorado, 560 AM KLZ. And that's Saturdays 1 to 2, Sundays 8 to 9, and or 8 to 9 AM and 8 to 9 PM.
Right, they replay, right.
Replay. And then Haystack Help Radio, noon to 1, Monday through Friday.
Right.
So, all right. Thank you very much. We're going to get you back to our regular programming. The best is yet to come. Just like Frankie said, have a wonderful day.